guys, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. Oh, what is this hair doing? Okay. All right, girl, we good. So today I want to talk to you a little bit more about nursing certifications. So I have two certifications, my CCRN and my CSC, and I wanted to share with you guys a little bit more information about these, why I decided to pursue them, how I obtained them, and pretty much how I studied as well, very briefly. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to start chatting about it now. So these tests are offered through the AACN. If you don't know what the AACN is, and you are a critical care nurse, this is my cheat sheet, by the way. I know you see it kind of like down in here, and it's written on the back of these journal articles, which are super interesting, that I've been using for my EVP class this semester, but I digress. If you are a critical care nurse or are interested in critical care nursing at all, I would highly recommend that you look into the AACN. So that's the Association of Critical Care Nurses, and they are the ones who write and offer the CCRN and CSC. They also offer a PCCN, which is for progressive care nurses, and they also offer a CMC, which is a cardiac medical certification, as opposed to the CSC, which is more of a cardiac surgical certification. Gosh, that's like a tongue twister. So I wanted to start off by telling you guys why I personally chose to become certified, not once but twice. And my answer is a little bit multifaceted. So you have to understand that my goal since my second semester of nursing school was always to become a CRNA. And it's very common for CRNA programs to require their applicants to have a CCRN just to pretty much validate that they do have a baseline understanding of critical care information. So the CCRN is a really good benchmark test to use to establish that you do possess that knowledge and understanding of critical care nursing. The other reason that I wanted to obtain my certifications was to kind of prove to myself and others that not only did I know, the critical care knowledge and the book knowledge and, things like that, but I also understood the why behind, well, why do we do that? Well, why are we doing this instead of that? Why, when I am starting a patient on a pressor, would I start this one over that one? Why am I going to volume resuscitate before I start a pressor? So for me, it was a lot about validating to myself that I did know what I was doing, as well as to, coworkers and my manager and physicians, patients, family members that, yeah, I do know what I'm doing. I do understand the why behind what I'm doing. I promise I will take good care of you and am competent to be here. Because really, truly, in a high stakes, environment like that, I don't mean to bash anyone, but it's hard to gauge, I guess, understanding of nurses. Now, you want to trust that the orientation process will do a good job of rearing nurses, but not all facilities have the same orientation process, and not all facilities ease newbies into taking care of patients. So a new grad could get the highest acuity patient right off the bat, things like that. So for me, it was really important to be able to validate that I knew what I was doing and why. So the CCRN is more of the critical care / ICU geared certification. It's offered through the AACN. For non-members, it costs $335. For members, it costs $230. And you have to have 1,750 hours accrued within the past 2 years at the bedside practicing as an ICU nurse. I know that seems like a lot, but it actually just boils down to 1 year of full-time practice off of orientation, not in the classroom, at the bedside in an ICU, any type of ICU. And I mean, yeah, that's it. You go onto the website, you apply. You, of course, want to make sure that all of your ducks are in a row in terms of proving your hours, because if you should, in the future, be audited by AACN and they find that you did not have adequate hours to back up your eligibility, they can actually take away your certification even after you've earned it. So that's definitely one thing that you want to make sure you are on top of before you go and apply, and of course before you go and obtain the certification. So in terms of preparation, the CCRN is broken down into basically all of the different body systems And then your hemodynamics is a big component of it as well. And then there are like multi-system processes such as sepsis that are on the test as well. I think that there were maybe a couple trauma questions, I don't remember. And then there were also questions about like ethical stuff, and then just being I guess like a member of the profession, which, you know, they had those questions on the NCLEX as well, very similar format. I would say that in terms of the difficulty of the test, it was very straightforward. Of course, I did prepare for it. I think I took at least a month to 2 months to review all of my body systems and do oodles and oodles and oodles of practice questions. So for content review, I used Barron's CCRN book. The way that that book is broken down is beautiful, and it worked great with my method of studying. And then I also did a lot of practice questions through past CCRN, which I will link to all of these things down below. But there, I think, are over 5,000 questions on this website, I guess, program offered through Elsevier, and it was very helpful. I would say that those questions were a lot harder than anything that I encountered on the test, but it definitely did a great job of reinforcing certain concepts and getting me prepped to take the CCRN. So that's pretty much the CCRN. The other certification that I have is the CSC. Now, the CSC is not required for a CRNA program anywhere in the country that I am aware of. However, not only did I want to prove my cardiothoracic surgery knowledge, but I also wanted to make myself stand out on my CRNA application. So that's why I decided that I was going to take it one step further and also get this subspecialty certification. So the CSC is for cardiac surgery patients, and specifically it covers recovery within the first 48 hours post-op of these cardiac surgery patients. So unless you work in a cardiac surgery unit, you cannot take this exam. So this is basically similar requirements to the CCRN. You have to have those 1,750 hours or a year in the unit off of orientation and not in the classroom. And it basically just covers, you know, like more in-depth hemodynamics. Like I remember that there were a lot of questions where it would just throw you hemodynamics and you would have to say what we need to do for the patient, or what drip we would start them on, what drip we would titrate, I mean, what inotrope we would start as opposed to others, maybe what vent settings we needed to adjust, things like that. Some of these questions were a bit more challenging. I would say that the CSC was a bit, of course it was more in depth than the CCRN, but if you have recovered hearts for any period of time, I feel like you definitely can accomplish this test with some preparation. So the resources that I used to study for the CSC were, the AACN has their own little program, and fortunately one of my coworkers had taken this program in the past and allowed me to borrow her PowerPoints. So there's like an audio recording that goes along with it that I didn't have, but I just used the PowerPoints, and those were really helpful. There is another free resource online by a lady named Cheryl Herman, and she has great lectures on like everything CSC related. So I will link to her down below. She's phenomenal, and these are free resources, like super depth, like high quality information. Definitely check it out. And then the other resource that I used was a book called Cardiac Surgery Essentials for the Critical Care Nurse by authors Harding and Kaplow, and I'll link to that as well. And that book was really in depth, but it did a good job of giving me like a whole understanding of, you know, these patients who are undergoing cardiac procedures. And I would say that that book is definitely aimed more towards like a nurse practitioner, but it really helped me to understand what we're doing and why we are doing what we're doing when we're recovering open heart patients in the CTICU. So that test was only 75 questions, I want to say, as opposed to the CCRN, which I believe was 150. I'm not sure. I feel like I didn't take these that long ago, but then again, it feels like forever ago. So don't quote me on that, but I want to say 150. All in all, neither of these tests tried to trick you. Both of them were very like point blank, like you either knew it or you didn't. You could somewhat use process of elimination if you sort of kind of were familiar with the subject. But all in all, not bad, but definitely needed to prepare. I think I took a month to prepare for the CSC, and I'm glad that I did. But anyways, those are my certifications. I kind of told you guys that it was a mix of feelings why I wanted to pursue those, to make me stand out on my CRNA application, but also to sort of validate myself in a really high acuity unit. And to me, my certifications mean that I can be viewed as a resource on the unit. I can be viewed as a reliable source of information. And not only that, but my charge nurses, my manager, my coworkers can have full confidence in me, asking me for help, that I can help them competently and that I can take care of the sickest of the sick in our unit competently. I have that extra knowledge that went above and beyond, and has been proven through my certification tests. So anyways, that's about it on certifications. I was going to say CCRN. CCRN and CSC. I would have to say that of both of my credentials, the CCRN and the CSC, I'm definitely most proud of the CSC, because to me that was like the biggest accomplishment. Going into basically the sickest unit in the area, and learning how to competently care for those patients. So very proud of that. Anyways, if you guys have any further questions on certifications, feel free to leave them down below. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!